So next, we are going to look at the effect of changes in demand and supply on equilibrium price and quantity. Right, so the market equilibrium will change when there is a shift in the demand or supply curve. The shift in the demand and supply is due to the determinants of demand and supply that we have learned before. And there are three situations to be discussed here. So the first one, it is a situation when the demand curve shifts and supply remain constant. Number two, that is supply curve shift and demand remain constant. And number three, both the demand and supply curve shift simultaneously. So this is a condition when the demand increases and supply constant. So if we have this kind of situation, then we need to draw or we need to plot or sketch initial position of the market equilibrium, right? So we draw the supply curve, demand curve, and we find the equilibrium, initial position of equilibrium point, equilibrium price and quantity. And we look straight away to the situation or to the question. Suppose there is an increase in consumers' income level. Therefore, what happened to the demand for normal good? So we know that normal good is the determinant of the demand So when income, the income increases, then the demand for normal good will also increase. So the demand curve for normal good will shift to the right from D0 to D1. So what happened? There will be new equilibrium. The equilibrium price will increase. The equilibrium quantity will also increase, and this is the new equilibrium. So this is how we do the effect of the changes in demand and supply. So we look at the second example, demand decreases and supply constant. So we sketch the initial position first, then we look at the situation. Suppose there is increase in the price of car. So what happened to the demand for petrol? So car and petrol is known as a complementary goods. So it is the determinant of demand. So it will affect the demand curve. So when the price of car increases, the demand for petrol will decrease. So the demand curve for petrol will shift to the left from D0 to D1. So what happened? We will have the new equilibrium point. So the price will reduce from P0 to P1, quantity reduced from Q0 to Q1, and E1 is the new equilibrium point. Here is the example when supply increases and demand constant. So we'll sketch the initial position and we look at the question. Suppose the cost of production decreases. So what happened to the supply of cloth? So cost of production is the determinant of supply. So it will affect the supply curve. When cost of production decreases, the supply of cloth will increase and the supply curve will shift to the right from SO to S1. So there will be new equilibrium here. The supply 1 intersect with the demand, D. So as you can see here, the price decreases while the quantity increases. So this is the example of supply decreases and demand constant. Suppose there is bad weather, so it will cause the supply of vegetables to decrease. So the supply curve will shift to the left from SO to S1. So there will be new equilibrium position. So the equilibrium price will increase from P0 to P1. Equilibrium quantity will increase from Q0 to Q1. And E1 is the new equilibrium point. Then we go to the simultaneous changes. So this is the increase in demand proportionate to increase in supply. All right. So if there is increase in the taste and preference of chocolate cake, so taste and preference is the determinant of demand. So when taste and preference increases, the demand for chocolate cake will also increase. And at the same time, there is reduction in the cost of production of chocolate cake. So when the cost reduces, the supply will increase. The supply for chocolate cake will shift. Supply curve will shift to the right. So demand curve shift to the right and supply curve shift to the right at the same proportion. So what we can see here is supply 1 intersect with the demand 1. So the quantity will increase, but there is no change in the price. So this is decrease in demand proportionate to decrease in supply. Suppose the income decreases and there is increase in tax rate. So income level is the determinant of demand. So when income decreases, so the demand for normal good will decrease. The demand curve shift to the left. And when tax increases, the cost of production will increase. So the supply for normal good will decrease. The supply curve shift to the left from S to S1. So here there is new intersection, S1 and D1 at here. So as we can see here, there is no change in the price, but the quantity reduces from Q to Q1. So this decrease in demand proportionate to increase in supply. Suppose there is reduction in the demand for traditional Malay cookies. So when demand decreases, the demand curve shifts to the left from D to D1. And at the same time, the supply for the cookies increases because of the reduction in the cost. So the supply curve shift to the right from S to S1. So there is new intersection at S1 and D. So what we can conclude that the price decreases from P to P1, but the quantity remain unchanged. This is the last example. Increase in demand proportionate to decrease in supply. Suppose there is increase in the demand for coffee. So the demand curve will shift to the right. And the supply for coffee decreases because of bad weather. So the supply shift to the left from S to S1. So there is new intersection S1 and D1 here. So the price increases from P to P1 and quantity remain unchanged. So this is how we do for the changes in demand and supply on market equilibrium.